Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Ralli Roots, and if you're brand new to our channel, we are professional online resellers. So what that means is we buy stuff for one price and then we sell it for a profit on platforms like eBay and Amazon, so online, and we make a full-time living doing that. So if you're into stuff like that, if you're a reseller, or if you are intrigued about becoming a reseller, or if you just like videos like this, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button on this video and subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. So in today's video, there's a question that comes up quite often on our channel, and that question is, on eBay, how long does it take for your items to sell? So it's what us in the industry call the sell-through rate. So if I list something today and in 5 days it sells, the sell-through rate on that item would be 5 days. So the question comes up often because on our channel, we're always buying stuff and then showing you guys how much it sold for. Down the line, we'll do these what sold videos and you'll see how much the items actually sold for. But we never really discuss the time frame or the length that it takes for the items to actually sell. And that's very important because some items sell very fast and some items sit for a long time. And it's something that as you grow as a reseller, it's something that you really want to pay attention to, because you don't really want to buy stuff that sits for too long unless you can get it really cheap. So in today's video, I'm going to show you 12 items that we sold recently on eBay. And same as our other what sold videos, I'll tell you how much they sold for, I'll show you pictures of the items, I'll show you the title so you can see how we list the items on eBay. But then I also want to tell you how long it took for the items to sell. So we'll go through each one and I'll tell you again how much they sold for, and then we'll go back and talk about that sell-through rate. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys out. I know that when we first started selling on eBay, videos like this would have really helped us out because it would have guided us to items that were selling faster or away from items that were sitting too long on eBay. So without further ado, like I said, we're going to jump into 12 items. And we're going to start with item number 1. So item number 1 is a pair of men's Abilene brand cowboy boots. This came from a Western lot that we bought. We bought a bunch of Western stuff. These boots were in there and they sold for us for $87.97 plus an additional $10 shipping. So as you can see in the pictures, when we list boots like this, we make sure to take very clear pictures. We try to take the pictures on a nice white background because that's what eBay wants us to do. Doesn't mean that we like the white background the most, it's just what eBay wants us to do. So we take nice clear pictures, and then also something that kind of separates us, I think, from some of the other listings is we'll take a picture of the boots next to a ruler, and that'll show like how high the boots come up on the calf. And it also shows how tall the heel is. And I think that that's something that people look out for when they're searching for boots. So again, total price sold for that pair of boots, $97.97. They were listed on November 19th, 2019, and they sold on January 23rd, 2020, which is a total of 66 days. So those boots stayed listed on eBay for about 2 months, and then we found the right buyer and they sold for almost $100. All right, next item up, another pair of shoes. These are Asics Gel Noosa Tri 11 shoes, and they were a woman's size 7. We've sold this same model of shoe quite a few times. We prefer selling the men's ones because they sell for a bit more money, but we'll sell the women's ones as well. So this particular pair sold for $30 with free shipping. And they were listed on January 6th, 2020, and they sold on January 23rd, 2020. So they sold quite fast. It only took 17 days for those shoes to sell. Item number 3, this is a pair of jeans, also from that Western lot. This one took a bit longer, I think, to sell because it was a bit of a weird size and it sold for less money. We only got $49.97 for this particular pair. And they were listed on August 7th, 2019, and they sold on January 23rd, 2020. Which is a long time to wait for something to sell. It took 170 days, so half a year to find the right buyer for that particular pair of jeans. And again, I think that goes back to the size of the jeans, but we're happy that they sold and we still made money on them. The next item up is a really cool Nautica vest. I believe we picked it up from a Goodwill, and it sold for us for $39.97. And this particular vest took 58 days, so just under 2 months to sell on eBay. It was listed on November 26th and it sold on January 22nd, 2020. Like I said, all of these items are going to be recent sales for us. I'm not showing you anything that's old, that sold last year. I wanted to show you relevant items that sold. These all sold within the past couple weeks. The next item up is a set. It was a Pro Spirit track suit. This was a vintage item. It was new old stock. It had the tags on it. but it only sold for $30. So just because something is old and vintage and still has the tags doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be worth $300. Sometimes it's only worth 30 bucks, which was the case in this case. It also took a decent amount of time to sell. So it was listed on November 5th, 2019, and it sold on January 22nd. So a total of 79 days on eBay's site. So let's pause here just for a second, guys. You know, one of the questions that we get is, if your items sit too long, what do you do to get them to sell faster? And we have a few different things that we do on eBay. We'll run a sale. Obviously, as you can see, most of our stuff is listed as free shipping, but sometimes we do run eBay promotions as well. So we'll pay that extra fee to promote the items. You don't pay anything when you promote them. You pay a fee if the item sells through promoted listings. So yes, and I know we've made videos about that in the past, but yes, we are still using promoted listings. When we use them, typically we're putting between like 5 to 8% extra in that promoted listing fee, but we're not always promoting our items. We're only promoting ones where we feel there's more competition. So if we have the same item listed as 100 other sellers, sometimes we'll give that an extra boost and promote the item. So running sales, promoting the items, making sure that all of your item specifics are good, doing stuff like having that white background. We do free returns, we do free shipping. There's lots of little things you can do to increase your sales on eBay. Okay, so getting back into this, the next item up is an Orvis jacket. It sold for us for $49.97 with free shipping. This item was listed on October 30th, 2019, and it sold on January 22nd, 2020. So a total of 84 days on eBay. Next up is a pair of Adidas Pure Boost shoes. This was in a wholesale lot that we purchased. They were new with slight defects, so they had some marks on the shoe, I believe. But yeah, so we were very clear to show the defect of the item, but we still listed them as new with defects. And I think that that's the main reason why they took a bit longer to sell than they typically would. Because usually when we get brand new shoes like Adidas or Nike, they'll sell very quickly for us. But in the case of this pair, I think because of that defect, they took a bit longer to sell. But they did sell for us for $60 plus free shipping. They were listed on October 4th, 2019, and they sold on January 21st, 2020. So like I said, they took quite a while to sell. They took 110 days to sell. But again, I think it goes back to that defect. The next item up, you guys know we love selling vintage, and this was a vintage item. It was a vintage item, but it had been altered. So it was a Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling t-shirt that had the sleeves cut off. It was vintage, but someone had cut the sleeves off of it. So we had to list it a bit lower, but it did end up selling for us anyway. It sold for $25.17 plus an additional $4.50 shipping. And that shirt was listed on September 24th, 2019, and it sold for us on January 20th, 2020. So it was listed for 119 days, which again, if you're not into it for a ton of money, it's okay if items sit out there. We were only into the shirt for a couple bucks, so it doesn't really matter. Some items we just have in inventory that will stay there, and when they sell, no big deal. But most of the time we're looking for those quicker flips. So items that sell in under 60 days, because we don't want to tie our money up into items that are going to sit for too long, like I said earlier. The next item we're going to talk about is Mizzen and Main brand. These are high performance dress shirts. They do very, very well for us. Usually they sell very quickly. We have noticed the price of them, the average sales price, has kind of started to come down as more and more people recognize the brand and as more and more of the brand actually hit the market. So sometimes you'll have a brand that comes out and it's very limited, and then they start to gain traction, and then they kind of flood the market with their brand. And you'll notice that the prices will start high and will start to come down a little bit, which we've noticed in the secondhand market of Mizzen and Main. We have noticed the prices start to come down a bit. But this used shirt still sold for us for $48.36. So if you can pick them up on the cheap, if you can pick them up for under 10 bucks, there's still great profit to be made on Mizzen and Main. And this shirt was listed on November 26, 2019, and it sold on January 17th, 2020. So right under that 60-day mark that we look for. With a brand like that, we do want it to sell a bit faster than 60 days. Usually I want that to sell in the first couple weeks listed, but I'm not going to complain. It sold in 52 days and we made a good profit on it. The next item we're going to talk about is a vintage Rolling Stones t-shirt. This was one out of my personal closet. I don't even remember exactly what I paid for it, but I was kind of like, I don't know, I was over the shirt. I wore it a couple times. Wasn't really doing it for me, so I wanted to sell it to put that money into another vintage shirt for my collection. So this vintage shirt sold for us for $50 plus free shipping. And it was listed on December 12th, 2019, and it sold on January 23rd, 2020. So it was listed for a total of 43 days, which is great. Vintage t-shirts, if it's the right content, so band t-shirts, rap t-shirts, video game t-shirts, if it's the right content, they will sell fast. So that's 10 items that we've talked about the sell-through rate on. I've left 2 items remaining, one that is the fastest selling item of the group and the other one took the longest to sell. So we'll start with the one that took the longest to sell, which is a Gitman Bros button-down shirt. So a really nice dress shirt. Some of these do really well. The color was nice on it. We took great pictures. The measurements were in there and we listed it for the right price. It ended up selling for us for $40 plus free shipping. So what went wrong? I think what went wrong is that the brand, Gitman Bros, it used to be really sought after, really in demand. And now it's not as sought after, and because we listed it high to start with, it took the right buyer to come along and say, okay, that's a shirt that I don't mind spending some money on. Maybe it's someone who had the clothing, had that exact same shirt or a shirt like it in the past, so they knew exactly what they were getting and they didn't mind paying for it. Whereas someone just looking for a dress shirt, they're not gonna gamble $40 on a shirt that they're not totally sure about. So like I said, this one did take the longest to sell. It was listed on February 20th. 2019 and it sold on January 23rd, 2020. So almost a year. I think it was 337 days or something like that. It took a long time to sell. Again, it's not an item that we were into for a bunch of money. I think we were probably into the shirt for $5 to $7. But if you take that and that's all you're buying, if you're buying 1,000 of those or 10,000 of those and you're waiting that long to get your money back, that's where people kind of like make a mistake when it comes to reselling, because you don't want most of your inventory to be those long tail items. I think it's better to have like 80% quick flip items and then 20% items that take longer to sell. You have to find the right buyer, but items that you're not into for too much money. So I think that 80-20% rule is good for most online sellers. And then last but not least, I said I would share with you the fastest selling item. And for us, it is a pair of Cole Haan shoes. So we picked this pair up at a thrift store. I think we paid like $7. They are Cole Haan 0 Grand wool shoes. And again, when you're listing shoes, really important to put in the model number, if you know it, if you can find it on the shoe, and then also the model name. So 0 Grand, Cole Haan, Stitch Light, those are all things that you want to put in the right in the title of the listing. So again, this particular pair sold for $64.97, and it took 1 day for them to sell. So they sold the same day that we listed them. So, you know, if I could get 1,000 pairs of those and get them all listed the same day and get the money very quickly, that's, you know, that's the dream when it comes to reselling. But most of the time it's going to be more once-off items just like that. But again, that's why we wanted to show you guys the actual sell-through rate of 12 items that we sold on eBay. So you can see the wide range of, you know, 1 day to 337 days. And I also wanted to make this video because that question comes up a lot. I want you to understand that some things do take more time to sell than other things. When we list stuff like electronics and appliances and makeup and healthcare and stuff like that, those are fast turnaround items. Most of the time we're buying those wholesale in big bulk because we know that they're gonna sell in quantities over and over again very quickly. When it comes to stuff like thrift store items like, you know, t-shirts and hats and shoes and stuff, clothing and accessories typically take longer to sell. So I don't want you guys to freak out if you're a new reseller and you list 10 things, you list 10 clothing items, and it's been a week and you're like, how come I don't have any sales? And you know you've listed it right, your title's right, you're following our advice, you're taking good pictures, you're doing free shipping, you're doing free returns. I don't want you to freak out when you're not getting sales, because sometimes it's just the way the market is. Sometimes it takes longer for items to sell, and you need to be aware of that when it comes to stuff like clothing and shoes, which is also why we recommend when you first start out, sell stuff that sells faster. So look out for those electronics, look out for those video games, video game consoles, video game controllers. Look out for good brands, look out for like Sony and Apple and Canon and stuff that has a following that you know when you list it, it's gonna sell quickly. But anyway guys, hopefully this video has helped you out. Again, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button on it. It just lets me know I'm doing a good job and it helps our video gain more traction. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Ralli Roots and have fun reselling. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Peace.